Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here with another episode of The Recast. I am here with our resident long person, MonstersReview.
What's up? I am a very long person.
I was gonna try to make a Yellow Diamond joke, but you wouldn't understand it, and I couldn't make the connection.
Yellow Diamond is the one with the really bold face, right?
The bold face?
I'm just gonna let that one pass.
All right, well, we're also joined by Lea C. And today we have an episode that has almost nothing to do with Thanksgiving, but it's the episode that airs before Thanksgiving. But we got Steven Universe, and we're all thankful for Steven Universe.
Right.
Except for Monsters.
I mean, I'm not thankful for it.
Monsters has not seen... You've seen, before these two episodes, you've seen what, 2 episodes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the hook of this episode. If you stick around to the end, not only do you get a discussion on 2 pretty interesting episodes of Steven Universe, you also get to hear the perspective of someone who has no idea what Steven means when he points to his belly and says, "Don't forget Mom."
I mean, I kind of know it. It's almost like a Naruto type thing.
All right, well, we'll get to that. Lea, how are you doing today? I'm doing all right. Yeah, the snowpocalypse hit the Recast headquarters pretty hard. And by Recast headquarters, I mean the northeast of the United States, because that's where most of our guests end up being from.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, the snowstorm was bad. People were stuck in traffic for hours. I luckily, I almost went out on the road. And then, like, I slid a little bit down a hill, and then I just turned around and went back, and I stayed at my parents' place because it was bad.
Yep.
Yeah, it hasn't been every year, but like around the Northeast, we've been hit with just like one really nasty. We don't get fall anymore. We have like a month of fall, and then it's just here's winter. Bam.
Yep.
That's true. Although, from my understanding, don't they do like Halloween on the weekend before, or they do like trunk or treat or something? I don't know. I hear rumblings. I don't interact with children, but. Monsters, how are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, I know I'm about to get roasted for comparing Steven Universe to Naruto. But
goodness.
Yeah, you know, usually it's this time of year where we stuff turkeys, but you know, I think we're all going to stuff ourselves with turkeys instead.
What?
Get it? Because we're gonna eat turkeys.
All right. Well, you know, I ordered some wings from Domino's like an hour or 2 ago, and they were like the worst wings I ever had. So,
why were they bad?
Oh God, no. Here's the thing. All right, with wings, you want to have like a clear shot at the meat, right? You don't want it ambiguous as to where you're supposed to bite. It's supposed to just be like a nice thin skin. I don't really do like the crispy wings. That's like, But anyway, these Domino's wings were like tons of fatty pieces, and like the skin was like puffy. I don't know. It was really bad. I don't usually throw wings away, but I did.
Because time to open up a debate for the comment section. Are boneless wings just chicken nuggets?
Well, see, that's the thing. Domino's pushes those boneless wings, and now I know why, because their regular wings suck. I've accidentally ordered their boneless wings before because like that's the first thing that comes up when you like go onto their wings category on the app. I'm glad you guys all came to the Recast for an in-depth discussion of wing ordering. Anyway, Monsters, I believe you were bragging to me earlier about how you watched something this week.
Yeah, I watched an Inconvenient Truth.
Oh God.
No, I haven't. I've seen something related to that though. Basically, Pieguy messaged me and said, "Dude, you need to watch the most recent South Park." And I was like, "Okay."
I didn't say that. What?
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay. All right. Vis-a-vis last week's episode, yes.
Yeah, episode
I'll explain
6.
That. Well, no. Last week's episode of the Recast, there was an unfortunate mishap where we usually record, a little secret behind the scenes here. We usually record on Wednesdays at 10 p.m., which that's when South Park airs. So when I was talking about South Park, I was talking about the episodes up to the Halloween one, because the next one was airing while we were talking. uh, we, in our discussion, I kind of talked about like, oh, they don't do episodes where the boys go on adventures anymore, and like, they don't do this and that, and then the episode comes out that is basically like exactly like the kind of episode I'm describing. So I told Monsters like, you got to check this out because it just so happened to be like something that makes our conversation kind of like totally irrelevant.
Right.
Anyway,
so
continue.
I watched that, and I was like, there's so much that I don't know. So basically, in the past week, I've rewatched all of up to what's
All of South Park, every episode.
every single episode of South Park since 1997. Yeah. No. No. I've watched all of what's currently up to date season 22. And just to quickly recap what I've seen so far. The first episode, Dead Kids, that was a really good episode. Lots of good social commentary. Randy steals the
Agree.
show. A Boy and a Priest. What did you think about that episode?
Oh god, I hated that one. That
Really?
was
I thought it was
so
pretty
boring.
funny. I loved Randy and like all the adults joking at the church too.
Yeah, but like South Park's done that before.
I know.
didn't. I still feel like I'm missing something. Like, did anything new happen in the news with the church, or is this just the same? Oh, I mean, we don't need to
Right.
talk about it. Okay,
Also,
but
the cleanup crew was really funny. And then yeah, and then the next episode, the problem with the poo. Not really. I didn't really dig this one too much, but I did like the whole tie-in to the ambient thing.
yeah,
So Tegrity Farms, I thought that this one was really funny. I liked that it kind of tackled the vaping crisis and Randy's like, we need more integrity. So that was a cool episode. And then the Scoots, probably my least episode of the season so far. It's basically the semi Halloween episode. And there's like a few horror elements because the scooters keep appearing and I understand what they're trying to reference, but I just didn't really find it that funny overall.
I thought that was actually one of the better ones of
Really?
the season. Yeah, we completely disagree.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the past two episodes, which is Time to Get Cereal and Nobody Gets Cereal.
Yes, it does. So we've all seen these two episodes. So I figured that's a good place to do a discussion here, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, if South Park could admit that they were wrong about Al Gore, well, they didn't really admit they're wrong about Al Gore, but they're wrong about Al Gore's message. Then I can admit that I was wrong about my prediction for these episodes. I actually enjoyed it all the way through. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I have this like thing with the multi-part South Park episodes where they usually drag things out and they usually like do a terrible job of ending and I don't know. It's like they tell these long stories without any idea of what they're doing or where they're going with them. And I still feel like even though it seems to have ended with this episode, I still feel like they're going to drag this out for like two more episodes. Like they're gonna try to build it up into some sort of season finale, and they're gonna make it multi-part, and they're gonna ruin it. But for at least these two parts, I thought they were pretty consistent. I think the story still kind of like dragged and went to weird places, but like the jokes about like when should we worry, like that's classic South Park. Like that was really good. The fact that it's the boys on an adventure, the fact that Al Gore is still weird as heck.
Red Dead.
It's really good stuff. What?
Red Dead Redemption.
Yes, that's another thing. Classic South Park, just obsessed with the game for no like. Everyone in the real world's obsessed with the game. Sure, everyone in South Park too.
Harrison Yates. I loved how they treated that, and he's like, "I'm gonna start a new life." Gets up, puts on his jacket and his hat, and then he sits back down and he starts a new save.
I also like you guys. I know that Pi knows about my background for like environmental science and stuff, but it was just really funny with Man Bear Pig being like an allegory to climate change and global warming. And it was just really funny, like, when should we start to worry about this? And it's just really funny with the timing with all the fires and everything that's happening right now. They just hit thing at the right time. It was a really good episode.
Right, and I like how they tied it in with like the older generation because it's it's always like I like that, and that, without getting into like a discussion on global warming, like the part of the difficulty with it is just that it is a very, very like ongoing, long term, large scale issue, and no one wants to ever worry about that because it's like, worrying about economic things that like could immediately result in jobs for people or immediately help some people out financially or whatever. Like people are way more concerned with that, rightly or wrongly. Um, so I felt like that was kind of a cool way to tie it in, just like that they made a pact with this man bear pig for stuff, and then it doesn't even like to tie it in with Red Dead Redemption. It's like it's weird and roundabout because it's not like a direct parallel to anything. It's not like Red Dead Redemption actually causes pollution or anything like that, but just kind of to use that as the metaphor for like, well, you know what, you're upset with the older generation for not caring and being too focused on their material goods or their personal gain, and yet you can't give up yours either. Like it's a cycle.
The thing about that too that's really funny is that it's the Wild West in that game before like all the woods and the wilderness was gone too, so they're all like obsessed with this and like this environment, and then they're not even noticing that the environment that it was is like getting destroyed. I just thought it was a very interesting way. It happened all at like the right time, and it made a really good episode.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think that they probably could have condensed the best parts of the two parts of them into one really fantastic episode. But as it stands, I thought it was pretty. Like I'll be honest, I didn't think Satan really added anything to this at all. I don't really know. Like they give him an explanation as to why he's helping, but like even before they do that, he's just kind of there hanging out. Like,
right. Well,
I mean,
isn't it because Man Bear Pig's a demon?
Yeah, but like if he's a demon,
But, like
then
him being there didn't really add anything to it though.
And also,
No.
didn't in the first Man Bear Pig episode, didn't Al Gore kill the Man Bear Pig?
No, the man bear pig is not real in the first episode.
Oh,
That's the whole thing.
Okay.
Imagination land.
right.
But that's the whole thing, is that the original episode was basically making fun of Al Gore for an inconvenient truth, saying that climate change is like this man bear pig where he's ranting and raving about this thing that nobody thinks exists.
Right.
And that's the reason why they did this, is because they were wrong. I mean, but my thing, what I always kind of find interesting is just that the original Man Bear Pig episode, even though like I don't agree with its messaging at all, it's still like a really funny, memorable episode because the story is good, regardless of what message, regardless of whatever political thing was happening. The story was good enough that it didn't matter. And I still feel like with a lot of the episodes in the past like 4 seasons of the show, you look at them and if you don't know what's going on politically, you're lost, and they're not classic. People care about them because they comment on issues in a way that no other show does, but once those issues are done and over with, there's nothing lasting to these episodes.
Other than
some of them.
Look back and be like, oh, this happened.
Right. But yeah, no, I think that's really good, where you can make a story that like you personally disagree with the messaging on, but like you still very much enjoy it. Like that's a difficult thing to do. Like the original one has Cartman pooping out all the gold at the end.
Oh god,
God.
I remember that one.
That's classic South Park moment.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, it felt so good. It felt so good to have the 4 boys just like in just this over the top situation together. Like, and then the whole thing about like anytime they went to start making fun of Al Gore, he was like, no, I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you. Like, because Kyle started to do that thing where it's like, well, yeah, you were right. But to be fair, you were kind of being annoying at the time. And it's like, nope, he was right. End of story. I died when it turns out that the ghost, like Al Gore, was just a projection of the movie.
So absorbed. He's just like, oh, how'd you guys like my movie?
And that's the thing. I don't really know too much about Al Gore in real life. I have no idea if he's insufferable or not. But I just feel like they've created this really funny character that he's just a funny, memorable character in his own right.
Yeah, he is. I don't know anything about Al Gore either, other than like the environmental thing. But I don't know anything about the actual person. But the South Park character is hilarious.
The way that they make him out is so that he you know, he basically does like this big documentary as a way to get notoriety because he lost the election.
Ending of the episode, I really like too, because they're like, oh yeah, so he'll come back in like 5 years, but you can sign him off right now. And like, it's such an interesting way to end it too, because like you were talking about earlier, we have, our generation has their own things that they're absorbed in, and they can yell at the older generation as much as they want, but they're failing to realize that a lot of the stuff that they're obsessed with is also hurting the environment too.
Yep.
So they're like, oh yeah, no, we'll keep these things, but like effects from happening, we're just adding to the cycle.
But it is also pretty positive as a South Park episode gets, in that there is this the police chief Yates gives this speech about how it's never too late to begin to change, and that's
Right.
true. That is true. I mean, I don't know, it probably is too late at certain points, but
Yeah, but we won't get into that because that's a
well, no, but even when things are past the point of doing a 180, you can still make small change. I don't think, I don't know, it not talking about global warming, I'm just talking about in general. No, I mean, you can always pollute the environment less. I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna fix anything, but
Or we can just find another host planet.
They already did, but it'd take, I think it was like 8 million something years to get there. I can't remember. It's a ridiculous amount of time.
Let's leave tomorrow.
Like Earth 2 or something. I forget what they named it, but it's exactly like Earth, except I think like 2 times bigger or something like that. But yeah.
Oh, that means that we can pollute it twice more.
No, we just populate half of the planet, and then we just move to the other half once it's just polluted up,
Yeah.
right? I think that's how it works.
Right.
And then once half the ozone layer on the planet is gone, that's just like a desolate, burning wasteland. All right, well, there you go. Join us next week for when we do a recast on Inconvenient Truth and an Inconvenient Truth 2. Oh goodness. Did any of you guys want to talk about anything else? I saw I actually watched with next week's guest a movie that I know Monsters likes, and I won't say it, but we can talk about it then, because I know the guest watched it and I watched it, and I know Monsters likes it, and it's a movie that is related to a very infamous movie.
Yeah.
Join us next week. It's an Inconvenient Truth. No. All right.
I can't think of anything else, so.
Sounds good. All right. So moving along, we have news. It was a big week for trailers. Actually, it's a big day basically for news and trailers.
It all happened in the same time frame.
Yeah. So basically, I guess we'll get the man. This is an episode. We talked about global warming, and now we're going to talk about death. So obviously, I'm sure anyone watching this knows, but Stanley passed away in this past week.
Yeah, it just came on really suddenly.
I mean, there wasn't any like news story to go with this. I mean, there's tons of things that have been written up about him, but there's nothing I feel I could say about the man that like justifies. Like I don't know. He did so many great things, and like what kind of, it takes a really special creator to continue into his 90s still promoting his work and still interacting with the fans and still doing what he loved doing and appearing in every stinking movie. He appeared in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Like no, like I mean, there's this joke on The Simpsons of that, like, you know, he had nothing better to do with his time, so he just hangs around comic book stores and whatever. But no, like seriously, the guy, he had a passion for what he did, and he never ever stopped, and I think that's just insanely commendable. And you know, the man lived to 95. That's a great life.
Yeah, I mean, he's super inspiring too. Like I told you earlier, I'm not really a huge superhero fan, but I definitely look up to him. Like as a content creator, he's definitely an inspiring figure to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy if you think about like the web, the web of influence that Stanley's had. Like, we probably wouldn't have like Danny Phantom if it wasn't for Stan Lee and Spider-Man. Like, I
Mhm.
don't
Yeah,
know, just
he
thinking about,
inspired everything. Well, he inspired a lot of stuff.
yeah.
I had some friends of mine that were on the day that he passed away were arguing like, "Oh, Stan Lee is a loser. Oh, Stan Lee is just a poser. Jack Kirby did all the work and blah blah blah." And I was just like, "Listen, like now is not the time to argue about that. Like Stan Lee was a magnificent man, and I think records do show he did a lot. And from people that I know that go to conventions, he was always a really caring guy that always took the time to speak individually to each person and give them his undivided attention. And yeah, it's a real bummer that he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on from that news, there were two big trailers that I care about. That came out that day, and the first one, well, there's two trailers for this one, but the first one is Toy Story 4,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Oh boy.
more
What? They're
like
making a fourth one?
Toy Story Fork.
uh
I know.
I I saw a video from Super Carlin Brothers talking about it, and he made that joke a lot. Uh, but yeah, so basically these two insanely obtuse trailers dropped. The first one being a very short spot where it's the cast, like all the main characters from Toy Story 3 in a circle, like ringing around the rosy. I don't even, some cheery song is playing, and then at the end of the circle is a toy fork guy
sport.
who says he doesn't belong. Oh, Spork, sorry. He says he doesn't belong there, and then the thing ends.
Apparently utensils are alive now. We're getting into food fight territory or whatever. I forget the name. Sausage Party. That's what I meant.
Oh god, no! Don't bring that up on this show. No, monsters will talk for hours. Oh goodness, are we gonna do food fight and sausage party on the recast?
Oh, you should. You 100% should.
No, but yeah, I mean, and then the other trailer was basically just it was really weird. It was Key and Peele as these like carnival plushies, and they were basically making fun of the idea of there being a fourth Toy Story movie.
Right, get it, guys? Because if they're aware of it, then that makes it okay.
Exactly. I was about to say, yeah, because they knew that they were going to get a lot of that. So they're just like, yeah, we're just going to head this off now, which is probably why it came out so soon after the first teaser.
Yeah.
That's what my guess is. I mean, I thought that the second teaser was far more enjoyable than the first one.
Yeah, I mean, Key and Peele were funny. Like, it wasn't just that the joke was that, like, they were imitating Buzz and Woody and doing a really funny job at it.
Everywhere, it was really good. I like the designs of the characters too, like being carnival toys, because they're usually brightly colored and like they don't look very well made. And I like how they translated that into characters.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've said this in some video somewhere, but just like I'm not, it's not controversial to say that Toy Story 4 does not need to exist, and no one, especially after like the glut of Monsters U, Finding Dory, Cars 2 and 3, and just all the sequels, that it's like no one looked at Toy Story 4 and was like, yes. I mean, I'm sure some people did, but people that are even slightly cynical about the industry, or about Pixar's direction, it's not surprising to be like, well, money.
I mean,
Um,
I'm still gonna watch it because Toy Story was definitely my favorite movie when I was growing up.
well, that's
it was just a big part of it, but at the same time, like I do agree that Toy Story 4 definitely did not need to exist. They ended a nice spot in 3.
I mean, that's the thing. I hate to say it, but these trailers make me look forward to it. Like, I'm still skeptical, but like, and they know that, and that's the frustrating thing about the film industry, is just that like Incredibles 2. I mean, I know I'm like in the minority for not liking it, but just Incredibles 2 could have been a dumpster fire and still would be like one of the most viewed animated films of all time, just because of the sequel anticipation.
That's
like
true.
And I feel like that just sucks, because it just rewards movies for nothing, for just being tangentially related to something.
That's
good.
all of
I'm not
Hollywood.
saying, Yeah.
Kinda like they're
I
taking the
mean,
Five Nights at Freddy's route.
yeah. But I mean, I don't think we would have gotten. Well, I can't say that because Cars 3, which I liked, I didn't love, I liked it, but Cars 3 also had a pretty like ambitious like teaser trailer
Oh,
where
yeah.
like is like Lightning McQueen dying, like it was experimental, and then that movie ended up being like pretty by the books. I still thought it was all right, but it wasn't. It was not like a tragic movie about Lightning McQueen dying or anything like that.
I mean, to be honest, the accident only took up like the first, like 20 minutes of the movie. It was literally nothing, even though that's what they advertised it on.
Right, it was him losing the race is what kicks off the whole thing. It's not even like he's too damaged to do anything, like the trailer implies.
Yeah, no, they fixed him like 100%. He was fine. It was more like he was just outdated, which, cars do get outdated.
Well,
But
that's interesting, right? Because that's where you think the Cars through is gonna go. This discussion of what happens when a car gets outdated or whatever, which loops back around to Toy Story 4 because from my impression, what this teaser seems to be implying is that the movie might go into the nature of existence. Like what makes a toy alive and what is existence and like, but that's probably overthinking it and probably expecting more than the movie's going to give me.
yeah, I
Right.
mean, I heard that they were just gonna go find somebody that had been lost from like this. I can't remember. I think it was this.
Bo Peep.
They were supposed to go on this grand mission to go find where Bo Peep had went. Um,
That's still the synopsis, but allegedly there's something else going on along the way. I mean, like, I don't know what else. Like the fork is not a toy, obviously. Well, not obviously, but
maybe he was given life because he was made into a toy. I don't know if like the child
right.
love for the toy is what brings them alive. I'm not sure. I don't know how much you can love a spork, but
It's a Pizza Planet spork, apparently.
well, there we go. There, that answers the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still have all my sporks from Chuck E. Cheese as a kid.
I actually
I read a few articles and they said like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were like either really emotional or breaking down crying in the VO booth recording lines from like the last few scenes. I don't know how accurate that is, but maybe they're just teasing it to be real emotional.
You're right. Reports were saying like they Hanks and Allen were like having emotional breakdowns at the ending of this movie. I mean, the thing is that Toy Story 4 has to do something with with the movies, like or like with the story, like because the first three movies are basically the same story, like a slightly different variation, but the same story.
Fish out of water.
Character gets lost. Other characters got to save him.
That's
Everyone-
all Pixar
about
movies.
losing Andy. Every single time it's about losing Andy.
Right. The thought of like your child stopped loving you, like that's it, all of them have that, and that's fine. Like I think they play with it enough, but like I mean, hey, we could do a recast on Toy Story and Toy Story 2. But like seriously, they have to do something different with the fourth one, and I don't know. I mean, the trailers do give me hope, which is not that's kind of rare for me. Usually I see the trailer and I double down on my cynicism. But no, the trailers give me a little bit of hope. I don't know. I feel like if there's any like thing that's sacred at Pixar, it is definitely Toy Story.
Oh yeah.
Like they definitely don't just throw together the sequels. Like
yeah,
they
Toy
do
Story is
care.
their baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like when they went into making 4, they probably are aware that they needed to try some type of a different formula. Otherwise, what would they have to make? Because they ended it in such a good spot where everything had been answered. You went through the last thing of losing Andy, and it's okay now because they just transferred onto a different owner. So what else is there at that point? I'm pretty sure that, I mean, I trust in Pixar. I think that they're pretty solid writers over there. Not sure if that can be said for Disney in some cases. But Pixar is usually pretty good with their writing. So I think that they're definitely aware that they need to change up the formula a little bit.
I mean, I think there is also a lot at stake because there's a lot of people that have been very cynical about Pixar. I mean, Incredibles 2 being a big success aside, I mean, basically like Incredibles 2 and, well, I can't even really say it because Incredibles 2, Finding Dory, and Inside Out were all big hits. But there's also The Good Dinosaur, which wasn't and
Oh
isn't
yeah,
very well liked. And
I liked it. I
then
thought it was cute. Predictable but cute.
yeah, that's where I fall on that. But like they're trying to even think. Well, yeah, Coco was also pretty good, but like I don't know. It's not Pixar is not what it once was, and people are skeptical of it. And I feel like a bad Toy Story movie would be a pretty big mark on them, you know.
Would be. I'm pretty sure that they're aware of people being skeptical of them as well. So that I would think they wouldn't take this risk unless they thought unless it was like well calculated, unless they thought that people were really gonna like what they were putting out.
I mean, it was announced back with that glut of Cars 3, Finding Dory, etc. So I mean, it is possible that even if it was greenlit for just purely financial reasons, they could still turn something good out of it. So, fingers crossed. It's it's got a stellar cast. The animation looks like even better than 3. Here's hoping. But there's still a part of me that's like, well, no matter how good this is or how bad this is, it is still going to be irrelevant. And like, I could end up feeling about it like the way I feel about Finding Dory, where it's like, well, this is a cute movie, but it has nothing really new to say, and it just kind of ghostly retreads what it once did again for no particular reason.
Yeah, I hope that they do something new with that. I'm optimistic though. I just love Toy Story. I really hope it's not going to hurt me as bad as the end of Toy Story 3. To this day, I still cannot watch that ending. I walk out of the room when it comes on because otherwise I'll be crying for like an hour. It just hits me super hard.
You mean when the toys get incinerated and die?
No, I can sit through that scene. It's when Andy leaves. I think it happened around a time when I think I was just graduating, and I think it the way that it hit, it was just like, oh no, I'm actually growing up. Just grown up.
Yeah,
with
that
Toy
was
Story.
2012.
Yeah, so it's just I associate it with that, and I think that's what makes it more impactful. Like, I mean, the scene alone it's really tear jerking, but at the same time, like I think for me personally, that's why it upset me so much.
Well, there is also that to look forward to, is that the thought that if Toy Story 3 was they explicitly made it about college. I mean, that 2012 was my senior year of high school, like my first year of college actually. Like they knew their audience where they were, so maybe that extrapolates to now. I don't want to say an adult Toy Story because that sounds wrong on a number of levels, but
Party but Toy Story.
oh god. No, but that they would have something in there that they would maybe tackle something hard. I mean, I don't know. I think like the existence the like now I'm just thinking of the Rick and Morty scene with the robot that has no purpose. That's going to be the toys. Oh,
I mean,
goodness.
it might be. Kid might be an Emily situation.
But will this movie have amiibo support?
Gosh, knowing Disney and how much they like to profit off of things, yes.
Sonic will be in 2 movies this year, and neither of them will be Sonic movies. Oh goodness. Or yeah.
I hope they don't make the toys too realistic.
Oh God, hopefully.
Because like, I mean, the whole point why they did toys for Toy Story was because like they're fairly simple, and back then the technology wasn't too great for 3D animation, so and even it was a bit of a stretch for them to do A Bug's Life a few years later. So I mean, in 2010 when they did a Toy Story 3, I thought that I think it had reached a point where I was pretty satisfied, but like when I was watching that first trailer, like the dinosaur and just like some of the textures look very, very, very realistic, and like I don't know, like I feel like the simplicity of it and the lack of detail can sometimes be a bit charming.
Yeah.
I like how good it looks.
I am how far they've come in their animation though. Like I usually, when a new Toy Story comes out, I usually go back and watch the older ones before the new one, and it's mind blowing just to see how much. And it's been like 8 years since 3 came out, so
right.
It's gonna be interesting to see how much 8 years of a difference makes in the animation world.
Like, I mean, I hope the people look better because I mean, you can tell the difference between between Andy in Toy Story 3 and then the people in the first Toy Story. But like the toys themselves, I hope just don't get too complex.
Or Sid in Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Oh God, Sid, that kid was weird looking.
I hope we get to meet Andy's dad.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that would be good.
Bo Peep was taken by Andy's dad, who's like been habitually stalking the family.
Plot twist, Andy's dad is that toy store dude.
Wayne Knight.
The owl dude.
Newman. God.
Andy's
I'm
dad is
still-
actually Lotso.
I would still love. I mean, I don't know. This might be the stupidest idea, but given like Wreck-It Ralph sequel, I would still love a Pixar movie where it was just like a dumb crossover between all the Pixar stuff. Just all the main characters. For like I don't know, for whatever reason. You could give it any reason. Make it okay KO crossover.
Pixar Avengers
characters.
Infinity War. Then they kill off all the characters at the end.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing to. You know how they usually do the I don't know if they do this in the other Pixar movies, but I know in Toy Story they usually do the blooper reel.
Oh
where
yeah.
they animate little bloopers. It'd be interesting if they could bring in characters for like a crossover in that, because I know they're very like self-aware in those bloopers.
They did in the ones for I think Toy Story 2 with the Bugs Life characters. They stopped doing those bloopers, unfortunately. I think after
man.
Monsters Inc. But
Boo.
But yeah, no, I don't know. That's maybe for just a short or something. Like I'm not saying we need a whole movie about that, but just like it would be very interesting to see these very iconic characters clash. Honestly, you could justify it any way you want. You could literally have every other movie be fictional and the Toy Story characters run into toys of them. I think that's the easiest way you could potentially do it.
For Toy Story 4, let's get a good short this time around because that Olaf short before Coco was not okay.
Olaf short.
I don't think I saw that because I
I didn't
Olaf
see it
Frozen
either.
Adventure, it was not good.
Oh no, you mean the Frozen? Oh God,
Oh,
no.
that was weird.
Oh
Oh boy.
Yeah.
It got pulled
Yikes.
from some theaters. It was that bad.
yeah, it was like 20 minutes. It was a special for ABC, and then they were like, "Lol, let's put it in front."
The one before The Incredibles 2, I think its name was like Bayou or something. That one was really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed Bao.
Good.
All right, and speaking of eating your children, Detective Pikachu.
How does that cross over into that? I am concerned as to what you think Pokemon is.
There has to be a Pokemon in the wild that eats their young. I mean, there's animals that do it. Humans do it.
I mean, you're not wrong, but why?
Oh goodness. Sorry, I just watched the version of this trailer with Frank Reynolds from Always Sunny in it, so so Detective Pikachu is a thing that's actually happening. The first Pokemon movie that's not, based on the anime.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for it.
I'm so hyped.
I know a lot of people are kind of upset with the art direction that they took in it. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I love it. The thing about Pikachu is that he does look weird in still form. Like you see his face on the thumbnail of the trailer, and you're like, ooh. But in the movie, he looks fine. Like in motion, he's fine.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean,
Yes, monsters.
Jiggly. I will say some of the Pokemon look decent. I don't think Jigglypuff looks that good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, it's just why is it that of all of the Pokemon movies that could have been made, we have one about Pikachu being voiced by Ryan Reynolds being a detective?
Because that was their best
Why
game in
not?
the whole
Oh my
in the whole
God.
franchise. They adapted the best game, the one that sold the best. Because we need to get away from Ash. That's the truth. The truth is that if that's what I think. Honestly, I think that if they go any other direction, they'd be tempted to throw Ash in there and make it like super stupid.
How about Red?
I think more so like the Ash thing, yeah. But I think also this movie is a way to get people who aren't Pokemon fans into watching, because you could watch Detective Pikachu and not know anything about Pokemon and it will make sense to you. Like if you were to watch a Pokemon movie about training Pokemon, people would be like, but why though? And there would be like a lot of unanswered questions. With this, it's just like a detective movie with a bunch of cute monsters, so they're probably hoping to
Right.
attract people in.
I mean, in all fairness, in those animated Pokemon movies, they did have like that 2-minute thing at the beginning where they did the world of Pokemon, and they just kind of explained everything real quick.
Well, I think more importantly is how do you portray a whole Pokemon adventure across the region in 90 minutes? I mean,
You
like
can't.
think about Pokemon was it Origins when they did that mini series of like 5 episodes? They skipped over like 6 gyms.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like,
why
they
you can't do
montaged-
that type of story in a movie. It's
no,
just too long.
It's right.
But
so
maybe
you
instead
answered
they could do like a tournament or just like an offhand adventure that has some.
this
sort
is
of
an offhand
significant-
adventure. What?
It's in like an
I'm trying
alternate
to understand
dimension,
your
though.
complaint. Say it again.
Why does Pikachu talk?
What?
He talks
So-
in that one movie.
Oh no, we don't talk about that.
He's like,
Um,
I love you. The entire theater just goes, oh.
Yeah. Let's retell the origin story of Ash, but let's make one small change.
Yeah, and let's get rid of
Pikachu-
Misty and Brock.
It's yeah.
Video of everybody reacting to it is still the funniest thing.
Oh yeah, in the theater, the people freaking out. No, like I just like, don't get me wrong. I would love to see a Pokemon movie that was explicitly like about battling or something that's based. Like, honestly, you don't even need to do the gyms. You do the story of Team Rocket and I don't know, make Looker the protagonist or something. Like, they don't have to do. I don't think doing like all the gyms would make sense. I think that's too big, unless they want to do like a trilogy. But I also think that the story is a little bit like done. Like, everyone knows the story of Kanto and Gen 1 and everything. Like, Giovanni ain't no twist anymore. Like, what would that movie be like? Would it just be predictable? Like, I mean, from what I can tell, the Detective Pikachu movie does not follow the game. Other than that, it's a talking Pikachu.
I think it just follows the concept and that's it, like not the story or
Mhm.
anything. I mean, even then, I don't think most people know the story of Detective Pikachu just because one of
From
their
what
better games.
Well, from what I hear, it's a little bit childish in terms of its
I've
like
heard
puzzles
that
and
too.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is fine. That's fine, but it's not, not gonna
Right.
get general audiences.
I mean, I'll stay optimistic. I'll probably watch the movie. It's just like, how far
Yep.
can they extrapolate the concept of Pokemon?
But that's the whole thing. That's what excites me about this is that I don't need to see a version of the game in movie form. Honestly, if I wanted to see that, Pokemon Origins, like, I would just want to see more of Origins. I think animation would probably be the best medium for that. I like the fact that they're extrapolating on just the world of Pokemon. It's a very like it's a universe that has a lot to draw on, and yet we still have seen very little of it. Like, we've seen the games and we've seen Ash's million episode story, but like this detective, what's a detective like in the Pokemon world? I mean, aside from Looker, I guess.
It's like that too, but we also get to see like the way people in Pokemon actually interact more so than in day-to-day lives, because most of the times when there's movies, there's usually either a legendary is messing things up.
Always a legendary.
Yeah, and Ash needs to go and fix it.
And
Or
Jesse and James are there sometimes to do literally nothing.
right, only to say we're blasting off again because you need to
Yep.
have that in there. And it's just, we usually only see battles, or that's about it. We don't really see like how people who aren't trainers interact with their Pokemon that much. So this kind of gives that opportunity, since the guy is not a trainer, at least he's not a trainer at the start of it. He probably will become a trainer by the end. But anyways, this just opens up the world, so now we can see more and they have a chance to build upon it without having to cram everything in about being a trainer.
Mm-hmm. Right, and here's the thing. I mean, I heard speculation, and this makes sense to me, that that Warner Brothers failed with the DC universe, so now they're going to do the Pokemon universe.
Oh,
And
God.
I think that's a beautiful idea, and I think that if this is the start of a franchise of live action CG Pokemon films, this is a great way to do it. Instead of trying to rush, like let's do Kanto, let's do this big story, let's try to like cram all these Pokemon and all these legendaries, let's try to make something big and huge, and instead they're going like the Iron Man route of like, well, you know, I mean, they're still taking Pikachu. I'm not going to say they're taking a lesser known Pokemon, but they're taking a lesser known adventure, let's say, instead of trying to. It's more of a risk, which I think means that they have more to lose, and so they're going to put more effort into it than if they had just said, let's slap together some story about Team Rocket, you know, in Gen 1 and a trainer named Red.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, I like that idea. I like that they're looking deeper into the world of Pokemon. It's just I wish that they had picked a different vessel to do that than through having Pikachu be a detective. It's like, what are we gonna get next? Like sandwich artist Alakazam?
But what about it is off-putting? I mean, detective
Why is Pikachu a detective? Why does Pikachu speak?
That'll probably be
Because-
explained in the movie.
Yeah, no, no, because the movie wants to make him a co-star. The movie
Pikachu is
does not-
supposed to be a Pokemon that electrocutes things.
But what do you want? Do you want him to be like Pika Pika? That is so obnoxious.
Well, that's why I'm saying they should probably
For
come up
20
with a better
years.
idea.
But of what? If the Pokemon can't talk, then
Yeah.
how?
They could have done
Yeah.
a Lucario because Lucario's been shown to talk.
Wobbuffet?
Lucario's overrated. I mean, it also.
So many people mad by saying that.
Oh yeah, he is overrated, man. Take him out of Smash. Everyone's here except for Lucario. I don't actually mean that. Lucario's fine in Smash.
We got Incineroar too now.
But yeah, no, I mean, but I don't know. I'm interested. What, like, you don't think that? I mean, we've literally seen detectives in the Pokemon world. Like,
Yeah.
Looker is a recurring. Looker's in more games than most characters.
It would be heinous of me to also say that it's ridiculous because the concept of Pokemon in itself is kind of crazy, but yeah, I'll be optimistic about it.
I mean, I think it's to give a Pokemon a star billing instead of just being, here's a human on human adventures, and also he has this animal that can fight things. I think to now, I don't know where that leads us going forward. I mean, there's Pokemon that could reasonably talk by psychic abilities or communicate. I mean, literally in the anime, Meowth can talk. There's no reason. I mean, they give a reason in the anime, but there's no reason, like, within the lore of Pokemon before it, that makes any sense why Meowth could talk. It's just because they wanted to make a Pokemon to have more personality. And sure, you can do nonverbal storytelling, but this really kind of like brings it out.
This is a kids movie. I'm just
Right.
I'm just
there's
looking at
that
it from
too.
the view of like, what if there was a movie completely unrelated to Pokemon where there's a rat that's voiced by Ryan Reynolds comes in and is
why
just
would
like,
you
I'm a
look at it?
detective. I'm gonna solve some mysteries.
Oh, kind of like if there was like a rat that was like, I don't know, wanted to be a chef and teamed up with a guy to cook.
I knew it.
Yeah,
Home
of
slice running.
course.
I would say in the argument to that, the humans couldn't actually understand them. They were just talking amongst themselves, which humans
Right.
actually, I mean, animals actually do have their own languages. In Monsters defense.
That is true. That is true. But I'm just saying they want to make Pikachu a star of the film, which I think makes sense. And having Pikachu talk but no one else hear him, I think would kind of be lame.
Mm-hmm.
It might be like a Dr. Dolittle situation or something like that.
Maybe the guy's just insane. Maybe Pikachu isn't talking. Have you ever thought about that? Our protagonist is like suffering from severe schizophrenia.
Well, don't they reveal in the trailer that that the main character is the only one that can understand him?
Correct.
They do.
That's
Mhm.
odd.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it might be like a Dr. Dolittle situation.
Right. But it's exciting to get a Pokemon story that isn't. I mean, for all we know, a legendary could be involved, but at least nothing in the promo material shows that it's going to be like sticking Giratina messing with people, or something.
It's actually Darkrai, and Darkrai has subdued
God.
this kid into like nightmare, and that's what this is.
Yeah, I want to see a movie that's like lore accurate to Darkrai. Oh,
Watch it
goodness.
actually be Ash, and Ash
Oh my
wakes up,
God.
and that was his nightmare. They gotta put him in there somewhere.
Okay. What, are we going to talk about the trailer at all? First of all, hold up, all right? Because here's the thing, right? There was a Smash trailer earlier this week or last week, which has no music in it, just uncannily. It's a great trailer. It's got no music, and people were like, "Wouldn't it be great if they put the, me and you and me, the one from the original Smash commercial?" And some people did that, put it over it, and it was great. And it worked. But like here later in the week, the Detective Pikachu trailer comes out with that music. Literally, it's the music from the Smash, and I know it's an actual song. I just don't know the name of the song. I thought that was beautiful.
Like, hey, we're gonna give these guys what they want, but not in something that they were expecting.
Like, I like to imagine like they had some other song queued up. Maybe they had the song from the Toy Story trailer queued up, and they're like, oh, we gotta change this last minute. What song would go good here? People really wanted this song in the Smash trailer. All right, get the rights, get them. Oh goodness. What do you guys think? I mean, you talked a little bit about the look of the Pokemon. I mean, I like that it's not cartoony. Like I like it. It's the character they're still bright. It's not like we're in like, you know, super edge mode where all the characters have to be like heavily shaded and like hyper realistic. But I feel like they've reached that like Pikachu is furry, like he's fuzzy, which makes sense. Like he should be.
He's so cute.
Mm-hmm. And listen,
Mr. Mime is creepy though.
Yes, but Mr. Mime is supposed to be creepy.
Yeah.
Monsters, what do you have against Ryan Reynolds?
No, I love Ryan Reynolds. It's just like him voicing Pikachu. Like those two things don't really fit right in my mind.
Well, I think he has a voice
like,
that
he's doing like the whole Deadpool thing, but it's like PG.
Well, I think he has a voice that sounds like kind of like a child-friendly mascot character, but like there's like a little bit of adult in him. Like I don't know. I mean, in the original game, Detective Pikachu he speaks very gruffly, which is like a joke in and of itself because it's Pikachu. And so people wanted Danny DeVito to voice him, or even just like
he was originally supposed to, I'm pretty sure, but Danny DeVito was like, "I want to do this."
He was never. It was just people signed petitions and really wanted it. I don't think he was ever officially involved, but he said like no at a Q&A, or he said that he wasn't involved. Like he didn't necessarily turn anything down.
Mean,
but
I don't deny that Ryan Reynolds has an animated voice because he definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Dead chew. All right. Well, how about this then, Monsters? If Detective Pikachu is a success, what story would you like to see from the Pokemon world?
You're putting me on the spot.
Well,
I need a second.
Well, if you can't do it better, then shut up. Is an argument that I'm not using, but I'm just curious to try to use as a barometer of what Monsters would like to see in a Pokemon film.
You see, like, I feel like maybe like a detective like film noir type thing would be cool, but I don't think it could be as fun and happy. Like I think it'd have to. I'm not saying it should be mature, but I think it should be a bit more less on the lighthearted tone. And also, like again, I don't know how many Pokemon I'd have speak.
But I mean, here's the thing. I do think that this is an intro movie into a wider franchise, and even if it's not, it like I don't know, just not having it be this like the best of the best trainers in this ultimate battle, but instead being just like a guy and his partner Pikachu, just wandering through town, like encountering Pokemon left and right, just in their like not natural environment, but in their symbiotic with human environment. I feel like it's going to lead to a lot of really great like surprises in terms of what Pokemon are going to show up where. I mean, we see Charizard, like we know there's going to be battling in it. It's not like, you know, like if it was Pokemon without battling, I think that'd be weird. But no, I'm very much on board with this. It could turn out to be a heaping dumpster fire. Totally admit.
Then we can meme it, so it's okay.
That's true. That's true. Oh man. But the trailer doesn't really give any indication. It just seems like there's Pokemon missing, and Detective Pikachu and new guy in town are they're on the case.
Yeah, that basically seems like all they're gonna reveal for right now.
I hope there's a Sableye in it. That's what I'm pushing for. A realistic Sableye would be cool.
I'm hoping for Raichu, but I highly doubt that it's gonna be in there. So.
I mean, actually, you know what? I feel like if anything, since Monsters couldn't come up with an answer, maybe like a Lola would be because that game's got Gen 7's got a lot of story.
Oh,
They're
it
big
does.
on their story.
It does. I mean, I enjoyed the story in that one, but
No, but that would be an interesting one, and especially because it's got a big Kanto influence. Because like I think with like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't think they can make a movie that's just like Kanto. Like I think,
all Kantoed out.
yeah.
Maybe they could do like a Pokemon Safari.
You mean Pokemon Snap? Pokemon Safari?
Yeah, like so. You remember in like the original Pokemon games, or maybe it was like Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Safari Park.
Yeah, and then like you could go get those.
You want it to be Jurassic Park with Pokemon? Is that what you're telling me?
That
want
would be
Tyrants?
pretty cool. You can't deny it.
All right. Well, that's to be fair. There's a whole classification called fossil Pokemon, so
that's
maybe.
true. Yeah, Tyrantrum. That'd be a cool one. I love Tyrantrum. He's my favorite.
Yeah, he was one of the more original what guys. But I mean, I don't. You just remake all genres, but with Pokemon. Really, they could. I don't think that
For
would
all
be
we
the
know,
greatest of
Detective
ideas.
Pikachu could be like a loose remake of already existing detective movie.
Casablanca. That's not a
Victor
detective movie.
Laszlo.
I don't think. It's like I don't know.
I'm the Godfather, but Pokemon.
Oh, God. I mean, there's Giovanni. That's not.
I'm
gonna make him a deal
he
far
can't
off.
refuse.
He's got the Persian on his lap.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
That'd be awesome.
Are we gonna get Spinnerack Man?
Maybe.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. All right. Well, we got to a place here.
We did.
I'm glad we led with the Stan Lee information because I don't know that we could have transitioned. So on to our Thanksgiving content for this week. From a person I forgot to credit on the document, so give me 1 second. This is a good reminder that the Recast has a Discord server. And if you'd like to leave us questions or suggestions of what we should cover or news articles or anything like that, all that is on our Discord. So this one is from Croc Ravenger. He says, here's a good Thanksgiving question. If you could have any character from an animated show or movie be put in as a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, who would it be and why? That's a good question. Like that's a legitimately interesting question. So thanks to you, man.
Yeah, that is a really good question. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
I want BoJack Horseman, especially after the last season, because there's a BoJack balloon.
Be awesome.
Is it bad that when I'm thinking of this question, I want to think of like a character that's like really like obtusely shaped, so it would just be awful for the people to have to. That's probably not a great way to think. No, I mean I think BoJack would be cool and hilariously like not appropriate. like I don't know, he'd have like booze in his hands or something.
For me, I'm trying to think. Obviously, be something from Steven Universe. I'm thinking either pumpkin or lion because usually animal mascots do really good at the parade. And
Pearl's nose would pop the other balloon, so that's just out.
I was actually just about to say that. I'd love a pearl balloon or like a crystal gem set balloon, but here's the thing. Everything that's humanoid from that show, like any type of merchandise or anything, always comes out extremely cursed. Like it looks like the thing from Nightmares. So that's why.
You know, Pearl's nose would be like half deflated because like it's like a small crease and like I don't know much about ballooning, but they can't always fill like the extremities.
They do what they do on the toys and just make it like a tiny little thing, but that would make her look really weird.
I kind of also want to see Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh just to see how they do the hair.
I mean, they're doing Goku this year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's your pick, Monsters?
I have two. So either Mr. Fugu from Chowder, just because that just makes so much sense. If you don't remember Mr. Fugu, he was the balloon that was like oh, and he had like the toupee, and he was the one that got carried around with that cat, Fagua, or Fagra, yeah. So either Mr. Fugu, or the hobo from Anatomy Park on Rick and Morty. Do you know how funny that would be? 'Cause
Oddly specific, but that is funny.
well,
Yeah.
but do you know why?
He's a dead homeless person with a theme park inside him.
Yeah, that's naked, and he's it's just facing
God.
downwards, towering over everybody. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh gosh.
Well. All right. But that was a good question. Thank you for asking it. All right. Man, our Thanksgiving parade would be weird.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So next week, I feel like this is like Thanksgiving-y. It's not, but next week we have a very interesting comparison. We have The Lion King and The Lion King 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then the week after that, oh, get ready for this one, guys. We're gonna go there. All right, we are gonna do so we're gonna be in December. It's crazy to think that, but in 2 weeks we are in December. So we're gonna be doing all holiday episodes all December long, including like after Christmas, December, because this just so happens to shake out that there's 5 weeks in December this time, or 5 Sundays anyway. So so we're gonna do a Charlie Brown Christmas and It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, which is it came out, I think, let me look at the Wikipedia page here. Was it the 80s, I think?
The first
like
one?
No.
Oh, the
Yeah,
second one?
85. Or sorry, yeah, it aired in 92. Okay, yeah, it aired in 92. So literally like a 50-year gap or a 40-year gap, 37-year gap. But yeah, no, we're going to be covering like the most sacred of sacred cows of Christmas specials, and then I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, but that just sounds like they're going to try really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. We wanted to do this because I wanted to take a look at the original Charlie Brown Christmas and kind of look at it under a critical eye, because I don't want to say I don't know that anyone's ever done that, because I'm sure people have, but just that's not a very popular thing to do. That's a sacred Christmas special, and you watch it every year and you enjoy it. Gosh darn it, you don't think about it at all ever. But no, I think there's right. But I think there's some real interesting stuff to actually discuss and look critically at, and I think it'll be interesting to see how one attempts to follow that up like 30, 40 years later. I think that's a really interesting discussion. All right. So, with that, Stefan Universidad.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, that's the Spanish language, Steven Universe. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't think that's right. But so
I don't know, man. I haven't taken Spanish in like 10 years.
oh no, it's what he calls himself, Esteban.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He says it himself in when they're trying to escape Homeworld, or trying to get into home. No, they're trying to get into the zoo. Anyway, we're talking about the 2 episodes, Keystone Motel and Mr. Greg. Now, as is recast tradition, someone on our Discord said, "Well, why'd you pick these episodes?" And I'm just gonna say, you know, it's an episode that has Steve and Greg and a gem, both of them. They go to another state to get away from things. The gem struggles with her. My cat struggles with something in the background. Sadie, what are you doing? Don't knock over the Rice Krispies. Goodness. No, but Steve and Greg and a gem go to another state to get away from things. The gem struggles with what her big season 1 reveal and core character relationship thing is. Steven helps the gem talk things out. There's also a table that gets broken. And on top of that, both episodes show Greg at different extremes, from being so poor that he has to go to another state to buy like these parts from a sketchy guy at night, to filthy stinking rich. Also, both episodes are right next to an episode about the Onion household. I think they're similar episodes.
Yeah, I mean, they both deal with similar ideas for sure.
I mean, here's the thing. I would have done like Full Disclosure and Dewey Wins, but I already talked about that. And I would have also maybe done like The Return and Jailbreak and Reunited, but Lea and I already talked about that. So, you know, we're going with this. And also Gemcation, although is another episode with Vacation and Greg, doesn't follow in any of the traditions at all. And I also talk about it. So anyway, we're going with these episodes now. Monsters, what episodes have you seen before these two?
I've seen
Like
Say
the first
Uncle.
two? Right.
I've seen the pilot, which I don't even know if you'd consider that a part of the
It's not
series.
canon.
Yeah.
It's not canon.
And
Neither
then,
of those episodes are canon.
And then I've seen the one they're on like some sort of boardwalk and there's like an arcade and someone attacks.
Meat Beat Mania episode. That's
that one. Yeah, that is old.
also an episode that's kind of not entirely canon, kinda. Like, we never really found out what was up with Garnet.
It's true, yeah.
Sounds like I've had quite the dilemma.
I have a theory on
yeah.
that, but it'd be too long to explain, so yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna have Monsters explain both of these episodes before we get to talking about them. So, Monsters, what do you think is happening in Keystone Motel?
So, do you just want me to explain like what happens in the episode?
What do you think is going on?
So yeah, Greg has to buy this part in Keystone. So he basically takes along Steven and Garnet to go there, and they stay at this motel. And while Greg's off doing his thing, Garnet and Steven are alone, and then she, what's the term? Defuses?
She explodes. Explodes is the technical term.
Explodes into Ruby and Sapphire, okay?
Yes.
And Sapphire is very chill, no pun intended. And then Ruby's also very heated, no pun intended.
All right, you got that.
Now,
what are they fighting about?
I don't know, but but Ruby's very angry, and Sapphire's just chill about it and is trying to ignore it. And then they make up by the end of the episode.
That's all you got?
And then they get all lovey-dovey, and then they go back, and then Ruby and Sapphire fuse back into Garnet.
Why was Garnet? What was going on at the beginning of the episode? The very beginning.
I don't know. Pearl was like, "Oh, she's talking to me again," but like, what? I don't know why. What's going on?
This episode is one in a series called the Sardonyx Bomb, and basically, Monsters. What happened was, so Garnet is a fusion of Ruby and Sapphire, and so she takes fusion very like highly. Fusion is a metaphor for a number of things on the show, but in general, it's like a relationship. Not necessarily romantic, but just like a close relationship, a close bond. You do it and you become more powerful, but you also basically become like another person.
Right.
So in order to accomplish a task, Pearl fused with Garnet, and Pearl enjoyed fusing with Garnet. I don't know if I'm explaining this in a way that's child friendly, but they fused.
The
Pearl
power that came with it.
Sure. Pearl got addicted to fusing and basically made up excuses to fuse with them. Garnet found out and was betrayed. And then the two parts of Garnet, Ruby is emotional. She's hot-headed, obviously. She's an eternal flame baby. Emphasis on baby. But Sapphire can see the future, so things are not a big deal to her because she knows that ultimately, like, they have to make up with Pearl. Pearl is gonna like make it up to them. Like she basically knows what's going to happen, and so she doesn't see a point in being angry in the moment, but in doing that she dismisses Ruby's feelings, which are obviously not good. They're also in a relationship. that one is a metaphor for a relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I got all of that.
All right. So
In 5 seconds or less.
yeah. Okay, so Keystone Motel is an underrated episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. I think it was really enjoyable.
Well, it's easy to forget, but it is the second time Ruby and Sapphire appear after Jailbreak. And Jailbreak, they're not in it. Like, they're not the focus. The big reveal is the focus, and then they fuse. Like, we don't get to see them, like, much of them. This is the first episode that's focused on them.
And it's also an episode where, I mean, I guess Greg doesn't help as much as Steven does with the issue, but it's also another issue that Greg helps with, and that's always an interesting thing to see because Greg is always the one that's looking up to the gems, but in reality, the gems should probably be looking up to him a little bit because he handles things a lot better than they do.
Who's the character who's had the most successful relationship on the show? Greg Universe. But yeah, no, and that there's that like novelty of it. I mean, even still, even now, yes, we've had a handful more episodes with Ruby and Sapphire, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like this one might be my favorite of the Ruby and Sapphire episodes, if you don't include like Jailbreak and Reunited.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people find them cute and Hit the Diamond, and they are certainly cute, but I also kind of find them and that episode in general insufferable. And then they're cute in the answer, but that story is not the most interesting, I would say.
It's more
but yeah, no,
explains how they got together, basically.
Right. But yeah, I find the dynamic of Sapphire not valuing feelings because like she just knows where things are going to end up to be really interesting, because it's like you understand both of their perspectives, because Ruby doesn't know that everything's going to work out, and Ruby can't help feeling what she feels like.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I just really love the dynamic that they have, and since it is the second episode that we see them in, we don't really know too much about them.
Right, they're this mystery, and the episode very slowly kind of goes over their powers. We saw Sapphire's super speed in Jailbreak, but we didn't see any of the rest of, like, it was speculated that, you know, fire and ice, but like none of that is actually shown in Jailbreak. We see their elemental powers, we see Ruby's gauntlet, that was the confirmed that their gauntlets as Garnet are just a version of their individual gauntlets, or at least Ruby's. We see Sapphire can levitate. Like, we see, I mean, we knew about future vision, but this is what confirms that it was Sapphire's. It's kind of hinted at when Sapphire can kind of tell where Ruby is. But like, I don't know, the episode kind of cleverly, slowly goes through their powers without being like obvious or like roll call-y about it. You know what I mean? It just kind of exhibits all their powers.
I also think that this was like one of the perfect situations to further introduce them, because Jailbreak, like, we were introduced to them, quote unquote, but we weren't really introduced to them as characters. We just kind of were introduced to them as like, oh yeah, these two exist. And
they were components of Garnet.
And they didn't have their own identities at that point. And putting them in a situation where be at their highest, I think, was the perfect situation to get to know them better, because we know what their extreme emotions and reactions to things are. It just gives us a better sense of what the character is.
And I find that they're a refreshing take on a relationship, because it'd be very easy to fall into the trap with Garnet of making like, well, she's just ultimate love, so her components, the relationship never fights, never argues, they're perfect.
Exactly.
But like, the episode shows that they still get in arguments, but it still also shows that, like, arguments or no, their love trumps all. And I mean, you know, we see especially in the most recent episodes that there is complications and things that go along with that. But this could have just been a schmaltzy, like, yeah, Ruby and Sapphire are perfect. But no, it kind of gets into it, and Ruby doesn't hold back, and Sapphire doesn't hold back. They're both pretty brutal with each other, but you know, I don't think it's really that. It could feel cheap in the ending of how easy they forgive each other, but it doesn't when you kind of know how much they love each other, and that their argument wasn't it almost wasn't personal. It was just like they have their conflicting view of things, and it's not that Sapphire like thought that what Pearl did was right or anything. Like, they both agreed that it was wrong, and they're both upset. It's just Sapphire doesn't think there's a point in harboring that upsetness, and Ruby feels like she needs to get it out.
Right, they were both disagreeing about how to deal with the situation.
Right. They're not being there for each other. Like, Ruby ultimately kind of like runs away and would rather just blow off steam than actually kind of talk through it with Sapphire. And likewise, Sapphire is not not really open to talking hurt. She's just like, well, in the future everything's better. So and I mean, I guess putting it, I kind of like I feel like Sapphire is more wrong here than Ruby, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know, what do you guys think?
I mean, I would say yeah, just because she's too focused on what the future is going to be, and she's not focusing on the pain that her partner's going through at the time. And
Right.
she's also not taking the time hurt her because she was obviously hurt by it too. She was just like, yeah, whatever, it's going to fix itself. It doesn't matter. But that doesn't make her hurt go away. It just reassures
Right.
her that the situation is going to get better. So I do think that she was wrong in this situation because they do need to acknowledge that it was something that happened. And they do need to take time to acknowledge what their feelings on the situation is. Otherwise, it's not going to get better.
Right. The future doesn't get here just because it gets here. It's still, just because she can see it doesn't mean they aren't doing things to work towards that future.
Exactly.
Like, we, you know, I mean, they even at that point in the series, we've had 2 episodes about future vision, and we kind of know enough to know that although she can see that things are gonna be all right, she doesn't know how this particular argument between Ruby and Sapphire are gonna end. She doesn't know, you know, she probably didn't know exactly how Pearl was gonna make it up to them, but
I was just thinking it's like maybe the when do we start worrying?
Oh goodness.
It's time to start worrying.
Monsters, what did you think about not knowing anything, just kind of anything? Like, what did you think about this episode? And you can be honest, like if you didn't like it or you feel like you just didn't have enough context to enjoy any of it, feel free to say.
I liked it. I mean, you're definitely right about not having a lot of context and not. I felt like maybe I didn't receive the full potential of what the episode had to offer just because some of the time I didn't exactly know what was going on. I mean, some parts invoked a sense of nostalgia for me because besides the whole Ruby and Sapphire bickering, but even during some of that, it's just Steven trying to, you know, enjoy his trip to this motel and like they have all of these different isms that you would find at a hotel or at a motel, like bed bugs or you know, getting used to the wrong channels. And I don't know, I just thought that aspect was really charming.
Right. That's in both the episodes, that there's like the plot and stuff, and then there's like they chose interesting settings instead of just like really this argument could have happened at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't need to set it at the motel, but the motel's nice, especially not only because you have that other element in there, but just because it gives like Ruby an excuse to burn up the pool. Like that's just kind of like a cool show off of her powers.
Yeah, that was funny. He was like, yeah, she's pacing around in what used to be the pool.
Right.
And the square pizza.
Yeah.
He's not gonna like it. That scene makes me laugh every time too, because Greg just opens the door. It's like that. It's even funnier because it's literally that scene where that guy walks in with the pizza and everything's on fire.
You're talking about from Community.
I think so, yeah, but it's just really funny because he just opens the door and she goes, "He's not gonna like it," and for some reason it's so funny. It's comedically timed perfectly.
Well, it's shot like it's out of a horror movie. Like he just cracks the door and she's just motionless on the bed with all this ice around her. Like he's not gonna like it. Like she says it so like she's like a creepy twin in a hallway in The Shining. Like
Add low snapping sound effect.
I never caught this until this viewing. The diner they're at is literally called The Greatest Diner.
Yep.
Or what? It's like the greatest diner in the country or the greatest diner in the world, something like that. It's literally called that, and I'm like, oh, that's why he said that. Okay.
Also, how about that imagery when they break the table and then you see like the face with the eggs and then the frowny face with the bacon?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Then he just snatches the plate.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, well, first of all, like you said at the beginning, Greg's advice and stuff. Like this is to me one of the best, like one of my favorite Greg appearances. I mean, it's not really a Greg centric episode, but just everything he does in the episode from the beginning when there's like this horrible, awkward tension between Garnet and Pearl, and Greg busts in, "Who wants to go on a road trip?" Like It's just
Oh,
like he
God.
like showed up at a wake and like and they look like someone died. He does that, and then the if I'm not back in an hour, call the police. Which, by the way, he doesn't take the crystal gem with him to his sketchy Craigslist meetup.
I want to see like a spin-off series of Greg adventures.
Oh, if we didn't get Steven perspective, we could have cut away to that. Well, because there was something going on there. Because like they were like, did the deal go all right? And what did he said? He's just like, well, he didn't turn out to be an axe murderer. It sounded like there was more to that sentence. Like, well, what did he turn out to be, Greg? You got the stuff.
Also, after he gets abducted, he's like, that's like the second craziest weekend I've ever had. And I was like, what was the first?
And there's also like interesting implication we kind of got a little bit of a payoff with in Ruby Rider of Greg knows Ruby and Sapphire and knows they've gone through something like this before. He not only like knows that they exist, knows them, and also knows of them enough to have seen them fighting before, which like interesting. Like when would Garnet have defused before Steven?
Maybe
Like
when they found out about Rose being pregnant.
And they argued about it.
Yeah, just because they don't know where to go because they probably can't see the future on that either.
I want my Greg flashback episode.
I feel like we might get that just because we haven't really seen like when they find out about Steven. And I do think that they did say they were going to cover that. So I do think that they might do it. It'll be interesting.
That feels to me like a penultimate episode. Like the second to last episode is just an origin story of Steven.
Oh gosh. Yeah, they're going to make everyone cry and tear their hearts out.
And then everyone dies in the finale. No, just Greg.
Mr.
No,
Greg.
but back. I love the Eternal Flame baby line. I don't know if it's an intentional joke or not, but just ever since I saw it on the Reddit, just that like, just instead of I'm an Eternal Flame, comma baby, just I'm an Eternal Flame baby, like because she's acting like a baby. And just the way she says that, she's trying to sound so cool, but she just sounds so lame.
She does. She's trying her best.
Also, just great. Like, there was also another running joke about like that the week of Sardonyx, where it's like Steven, like every episode, Steven sees something he's not supposed to because he's the next episode has him watching Onion's birth tape. So this one has him seeing like Ruby and Sapphire getting real flirty. Also, props to Greg for being cool to like pay for a table like nonchalantly. Like,
it's just like
I would have been more upset. Greg's not even upset. Like he comes back to the motel as a wreck. Steven's like outside by himself. Like he could have been abducted or something, but Greg's chill.
He's just like, yeah, sorry, my red friend here smashed your table up.
Yeah. And also, I want to know the context of that, like Garnet eats sometimes thing. Like, when does Garnet eat?
Probably when she's trying to awkwardly be social.
She's like fooled Greg into thinking that she was eating.
She probably just held it in her mouth because she doesn't talk much. And
maybe
then
Garnet
to talk, it just falls out.
Maybe Garnet put it in her mouth and then they defused, and like the eggs just kind of like fell to the side.
No.
No, just from the mouth, not like some weird half-digested stomach horror.
Okay. Oh god.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a very funny episode. Very good character on Ruby and Sapphire, and I think it's just kind of a good story. I mean, like honestly, you take away the sardonyx and you just kind of frame it as any argument between a couple, and like yes, Sapphire's future vision is like fantasy, but like really, you don't need future vision to know that certain arguments are just kind of fizzle themselves out, or certain problems are going to end, like regardless of what happens.
Depending on how important that person or thing is in your life.
Right. So, it could just be Sapphire knowing better, but I still do feel like Sapphire was a little more in the wrong. But either way, I think both perspectives were interesting, and I thought like that was a great way to do kind of this realistic. Like honestly, what sells two characters as a couple better than showing them arguing like a couple? Really? I mean, like here's the thing: if you would put Hit the Diamond or their interactions in Hit the Diamond as their next appearance, or even the answer, I feel like it would be just kind of this almost too saccharine. But I feel like in having them have that argument and having them be not literally a perfect relationship sells them so much more as actual fully fledged characters and not just like a hollow, like, see, Garnet's made up of two other characters, but like all they ever do is talk about how much they love being Garnet, like, because then they're not actually characters.
It's true.
All right, so monsters.
Yes.
What happened to Mr. Greg?
So this is a musical episode.
Yeah.
So Greg receives this royalty check for like this hamburger song that he did a ways back, and he's suddenly rich. So, it by means of song, Steven convinces him to spend some of his money at a luxurious hotel in Empire City, and Steven takes along Pearl for a reason that's later explained, because Pearl and Greg always butt heads, and from watching
Why is that?
From watching its and bits of the episode We Need to Talk, and also the song What Can I Do For You, it's very clear that in the past, Pearl had a thing for Rose Quartz, who's Steven's mom, and Greg, who's Steven's dad, obviously also had a thing going with her.
Yes.
And Pearl had some sort of jealousy, because, Rose Quartz ultimately chose Greg. And Steven yet again is stuck in the middle of this conflict, and they also make amends by the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's accurate. Nothing in that is inaccurate. Although you're cheating if you saw parts. Wait, you saw parts of We Need to Talk?
Yeah, the song What Can I Do For You?
Mm-hmm. Good song.
Yeah.
Song.
But what isn't on Steven Universe?
Speaking of good songs, yeah, this episode has some good songs.
Oh yes. Oh man, this
Has my favorite song in the whole series in it.
Which one?
The hamburger song, Pepe's Burgers.
It's
That was
over-
not included on the soundtrack, and I'm bummed. Anyway,
Because the
continue.
burgers are from Pepe's.
These
Would you
burgers,
like a burger?
5 these burgers.
I assume you're talking about
The balcony song.
yeah, the Pearl song.
Oh yes, of course I am. What other song would I be talking about if it wasn't one that Pearl sang? But no, in all seriousness, that song, the first time I heard it, I was destroyed for like a few days, like emotionally. It's just such a good song.
Yeah.
The animation that goes with it is also stunning.
There's no denying that, yeah. That 360 shot is so good.
Oh yeah, that's still like one of my favorite animated parts from the series. It's such a well articulated scene. I haven't seen like a rotational shot done that well in such a long time.
It's very it's very smooth. I don't even know. I don't know how much like effort goes into that. It must have been insane because it takes up like a whole verse of the song. Like they don't just do like this one sweeping movement and then they're over it. It's like that's over it. Yeah. I mean, like, there's not a bad song in this. Like, I joke about the Pepe's Burgers jingle, but it's hilarious. Like, that's a song in the show from the second episode, Monsters. Let me drive my van into your heart. That it was repurposed into this jingle. Also, 10 out of 10 Marty cameo. Just
Actually,
eating that burger.
Hi, you got the song wrong. Drive Your Van Into Your Heart wasn't the song it was based off
crud.
of. It was Like a Comet was the one it was based off of.
From Story for Steven. Wow. All right.
Before angry
Anyway.
commenters get you.
Thank you. I try not to watch. Listen, I haven't watched Steven Universe in a while. I don't watch it in the off season. I try to pretend it doesn't exist to get me through the hiatus. That's legitimately so I forget certain details because I haven't watched the show in ages. Anyway,
It's a better method than I have.
no talking about hiatuses. No, we'll be here all year. But yeah, no, like the Pepe's, like that's such a silly way to intro such a great episode, but it works so fantastically. And also they set up the that Greg has the check and why, even though that they do that in the previous episode. So it's not like 100% out of the blue here, because it would seem maybe a little like hackneyed to just kind of throw it in this episode. Greg's rich.
Yeah, just like, oh, by the way, Greg's a millionaire now, even though he was literally homeless and living in his van.
Yep. Still though.
He chooses to at this point, though.
That's true. No, but like, I honestly can't have a favorite song from this because It's Over, Isn't It? And then the next song.
Repraise for it is really. Oh yeah, and then Both of You is also another
Both
really
of You,
good song.
yes.
Yeah,
They're both very, very good emotional songs. That are so I don't. They're just. Here's the thing. I mean, I talk about the whole like 22 minutes, 11 minutes Steven Universe thing. I would prefer it if it was a longer show, but for this 11 minutes, I don't think you could tell a better version of this story.
I don't think
Like, I know people have issues with how kind of fast, like it basically, if you take away the musical elements and you boil it down, it's basically Steven takes Pearl and Greg to a luxury hotel, tells them to talk, they talk, and then everything's good. Like if you want to break it down and kind of boil it away, all of the flourish, that is what happens. And that is, I agree that is a little simplistic for how long Pearl's issues have been built up with. And I mean, it is worth noting that, making up with Greg does not mean that she's over her issues. This was a big hurdle, but it's not over, isn't it? I'm not gonna stop that. But no, but like I do agree it is a little simplistic, but for 11 minutes, for like how they kind of flourish it up with the music, with what is said, and the visuals that go along with it all, I think it just sells what is ultimately a very basic conclusion just so beautifully that I don't have any suggestions for how in 11 minutes you could do this story better, personally.
I mean, and yeah, adding to that, the fact that Monsters pretty much on the nose got what was happening in the episode, it pretty much proves that they explained everything that they needed to explain in that episode. Like, it's not like it's unclear about what happened. You know what happened based on how Pearl sings the lyrics to her song, the visuals with her song, and the repraise, and just same time, like the forgiveness, the grief to the forgiveness, to wanting to move on, to actually attempting and starting to move on. It's just handled very well. I think that the pacing, this is one of the episodes that I honestly don't have a pacing problem with. Most of the episodes I do, this one's not one of them.
Yeah. And I also like, they do something I bring up when people talk about how it is handled, is that in the end, Steven falls asleep in the car on the way home, which is, nostalgic feelings. But like he falls asleep on the way home and we see Pearl and Greg talk more. It's not like they literally had one conversation and then they're best buddies. Like they talked more. It's just, it's 11 minutes. So you can't, like, I mean, as interesting as it would be to see an episode that's nothing but like Greg and Pearl exchanging dialogue for 11 minutes, I don't know that that's what the show is going for. You'd have to have Steven like hiding in a potted plant in the corner or something.
Listening.
Yeah, you can't do free churro on this show.
Oh God, no, you can't. I don't know. Like I just think Pearl and Greg's dynamic can only get more interesting from here. Like it was interesting before, just because there was so much tension between the two of them.
Well, yeah, it could only get more interesting because they don't follow this up with anything.
That's true.
Rip.
I don't know. I just love that episode so much, especially since the meaning of the lyrics change. Steven does repeat "It's over, isn't it?" right before he falls asleep. So in Pearl's song, the meaning was her relationship with Rose is over, and she needs to realize that. Like part of her knows it, but she
just can't let go.
Yeah, exactly. She needs to accept that it's over. And that's the meaning of hers. It's over, isn't it? Because the feud between Greg and Pearl is done. So I think they still have some tension, but they're not on bad terms anymore. We'll put it that way.
Right.
And I just like how the meaning of the song is changed by the end of it. I just think it's such an emotional and moving song, and to be able to change it by the end, I think is even more powerful.
Well said.
And I mean, in the backdrop, just like again, much like Keystone Motel, this episode didn't need to happen there. It could have been like Greg is staying, it's a storm. Greg's staying in the house for the weekend, so he's got to be around Pearl. Like that could have been the setup, but to have it be, let's really do it up and let's dress them in fancy clothes and let's make it a musical and let's bring them to Empire City. Let's make the stars be shimmering and all the colors be this warm, beautiful purple and pink. Like, they didn't have to do that, but it enhances it sells everything. It just sells it so much better. Again, if you take that away, you take other things away, it's just, hey, you guys should talk. Oh, okay, let's talk. Wow, we solved things. Like, but that this is the power of like atmosphere and setting and just things that are beyond dialogue.
Yeah, I don't think that episode would have been nearly as good if it happened at the temple or somewhere in Beach City.
Right. It really feels special. It feels very special. And yeah, and I also don't think this episode, well, it could work as not a musical, but like I don't like, okay, like Pearl explaining her issue does not work unless it's a musical, in part because of like Steven perspective stuff, but just like you can't just have her monologuing to herself about like, oh, I wish I could get over Rose, I can't get over, like she sound like Gollum, like, oh, the precious. Like,
also, like, if she tried explaining it, she probably would have went into like all the semantics and everything, and keep in mind at this point she wouldn't have been able to. I just think that her kind of just reminiscing about everything that's happened, and that, this person who she was in love with and who was also in love with her at one point chose somebody else over her, and they're not around anymore. And I don't know. I just think it was only way that I think we could have explained it.
Right, and I think ultimately, like, yes, the solution of you and you talk, like, it can lead to that can be an underwhelming solution. Honestly, Steven loves that solution a lot, and the show really overuses that with things like the cluster. But in this, in this instance, though, I feel like really the whole thing is just that there's an anxiety there because Pearl has treated Greg not very kindly, in part because of jealousy. And honestly, Greg doesn't have a mean bone in his body. Mm-hmm. He's not angry. He's not angry at her. He takes her to this luxury resort, treats her all, to fancy clothes and find all the stuff. And then when she sings about how much she's upset because Greg won, the love of her life, Greg doesn't get angry. He walks out sad.
Yeah, there's some real gut wrenchers too. Even when Greg is like, "Will you dance with me?" and she's like, "No."
Yeah, like that's
genuinely hurt that he can't like spend time with her.
Right, and he's not a nice guy TM where he's like, well, I didn't want to dance with you anyway. No, he's hurt because he's such a nice, warm human, and all he would ever need is for Pearl to just talk to him and treat him with respect, and he has no problem being friends with her and commiserating. They both lost someone they love, and no one knows that better than each other. Like how sucky would it be to have the person who was basically second in command, the person that Rose trusted everything with for millennia, for thousands of years, and she knows Rose better than anyone else aside from Greg, and then she won't give him the time of day when they both are hurting. Like, imagine how awful that would be.
Yeah, because they quite literally don't have anyone else to relate to. Like, yeah, Amethyst and Garnet were close to Rose, but not at the level that those two were. So,
and from what we see of their relationship, it's mostly Rose and Greg like chilling on the beach. Like, sometimes the gems are there, but it's not like Greg has a robust amount of friends that are also with them. Like, no one else knows Rose aside from the gems.
Exactly. She's just like the mysterious pink lady that Greg is romantically involved with, basically.
And I think that's one of the things that makes this episode fantastic, is that if you don't know anything about the show, you can watch it and understand it and enjoy it. And if you do know, the more you know about the show, the more, I don't want to be like, oh, you can go deep in the lore, but like if the more you think about it and the more you think about the relationship these characters have had and what they've been through, it just kind of makes things just richer and deeper and more interesting. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that this is the deepest thing I've ever seen, but just it doesn't, but it doesn't try. It's not trying to be that either. I don't think it's trying to be like deeply profound. No, it's a
No.
story about. But I've never seen. The interesting thing about Pearl is that it's not that she lost someone because she died. It's that she lost someone romantically and then she died, and then having to deal with both of those things in relatively short order. That's tough.
Yeah, because I mean, keep in mind she was used to people being chosen over her. Like she had somewhat gotten used to that. Yeah, she was bitter about it. But she knew what to expect, and I don't think it was really that bothered her because she's like, yeah, you know what, Greg is gonna die eventually, and I'll have her back again. It was more so the fact that it was a finite thing and up happening event. It actually ended up happening. Like she lost her completely. And I think it's something that probably came so suddenly to her, um, that she just it shocked her. Like, yeah, it hurts that first off she's being chosen by a human, which she didn't like humans at that point. So I would assume it would sting even more. But like it just, and then all of a sudden, like, she's having a baby, and I'm sure that they're probably like, wait, what? And then she tells them that she needs to die for it. And keep in mind, like, Pearl is tens of thousands of years old. And 6 months, or like, however long they told them after she got pregnant. I don't know if they told them like immediately or whatever, but a time frame in which a baby is nothing in comparison to how long she's lived. So it's such a short time span for everything that and everything that you fought for your almost your entire life is just gone in that amount of time. So I don't know. I just think it hit her super hard, and she's obviously not coping well. I still don't think she's coping very well. She's getting better, but she's not better.
Well, and I think that, yeah, I thought that I didn't see this coming as like, okay, like how does Pearl get better? I mean, you could say throw her in a new romantic relationship, but I think that that's awful. That's
Yeah, it is.
you
I agree.
you could superficially have her be like, "Oh, I'm cured now. I found a new love." But like I don't think that that's not really realistic, and that's like sends a really bad message. Like heartbroken, throw yourself into something else. Like she needs to, I mean, I'm not slamming on Mystery Girl here. I think that like the initial showing that Pearl can have feelings for someone else is a good thing and a step in the right direction. But I think that having her get over her beef with Greg is a good sign because it shows that she's able to just get over the jealousy aspect of it, like which just rotted at her, caused her to almost kill Steven like 6 times. Like twice. All right. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit in comparison is that I found something interesting that I never really noticed about Keystone is that Greg's advice is to let Ruby and Sapphire just kind of hash it out. But that advice doesn't work. That's not what happens. They only get better because Steven kind of accidentally intervenes.
Makes them talk.
Right, which is interesting. I mean, I don't think Greg's advice is necessarily wrong, but it's in both instances, that's not what happens. Steven actively forces Greg and Pearl to talk, and that's the only thing that mends that relationship. So I kind of find that interesting that Greg's like sagely advice is not exactly helpful. Like they frame it as helpful, and it's still like I said, not bad advice, but sometimes it obviously you don't want to go butting into everyone's affairs, but if they're your family, if they're people that you see are hurting and you know that they can sort through it if they just sit down and talk to each other, then maybe, getting involved is the right thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely interesting to you have Greg talking it out in the one episode with Pearl, and then in the other one, Ruby and Sapphire just kind of do it because Steven accidentally initiates it, and it just kind of like further shows how similar Greg and Steven are.
Well, I think what is interesting is that like Greg's advice of like, just let people be. I think that is like Greg's MO of that he's not angry, but he is a bit more passive than Steven is. I think Steven is more proactive in following what he, if he thinks that he can help, then he'll help. Not that Greg doesn't help. Hmm?
Steven's very pushy about helping. Greg is
Oh, yes.
kind of, okay, if you need me, I'll be over here type of thing.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Greg doesn't try to talk to Pearl when Pearl sings her little song. He slinks off. So that's interesting. It is interesting to kind of show that although that is like not bad advice, it's not necessarily the end all be all. And then, just like, I don't know which reuniting did you guys prefer? Like, what did you think was better? Like Ruby and Sapphire kind of realizing it over seeing how they upset Steven, or Steven kind of forcing Pearl and Greg to talk?
I mean, I like both of them because I think that they're both very different things and they're both portraying two very different relationships.
Oh, obviously.
I like Mr. Greg better personally, just because it hit me emotionally more. And I think it was definitely supposed to hit you more on an emotional level than Keystone was, even though Keystone also hit on emotional parts. I just like how Mr. Greg was executed better, because this is a thing that's been festering for the entire season, whereas Keystone is only one arc it's been festering. So,
Monsters?
Yeah, I liked the resolution more in Mr. Greg as well. I felt like the makeup in Keystone Motel was conveyed in a bit more of a heavy-handed manner.
Yeah, it's funny because both of these only work because Steven is the center of the universe, literally.
Mm-hmm.
like, right? I mean, you think Steven picked up from Keystone Motel? Like, dang, man, I can make anyone feel emotionally vulnerable. I'm gonna use this. And then he started then he was like, yeah, this is the key. I just take a gem to another state and I make them emotionally vulnerable. I use their love of me to get them to reconcile with someone. Yeah.
I mean, in both of them, he's like, I love you and you both love me, so.
That's how. Yeah, that's how he did it with the cluster. That's how he did it with Lapis and Peridot. Actually, is that how he made them be friends? How did they become okay with each other?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. It was
because the Ruby
talked to her, like, because she was being mean because of the tape recorder.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. I think just the Ruby squad comes down and just interrupts that, and then they're friends after. I think that is what happens. I'm gonna just assume that
it happens a little bit before. It happens like right before the Ruby squad comes in.
Yeah, because they're hiding. That'd be interesting to kind of see, like, how many problems does Steven solve on the show by not just getting people to talk, but by like using, like, the fact that people care about him as like an emotional bargaining tool.
Use it on White Diamond, so.
oh. Well, that's how Steven reconciled the diamonds with the other gems. Like, hey, diamonds, you love me. Hey, gems, you love me. Everyone friends.
White Diamond just doesn't love anybody, so he's hard pressed for that.
Oh goodness. All right. So yeah. Monsters, was that a Mr. Greg out of you for preferred?
Well, yeah. I just wanted to say, like, I thought that both episodes were super atmospheric with, beautiful backgrounds and lots of time to explore the settings. Maybe that's just because the episodes take place in different locations, or maybe that's just the whole show.
No, yeah, every episode, Steven and other characters just go to some other living location.
Yeah, and
every episode, in a different state. I mean, they go to the barn too. That's something.
Yeah, and I mean, also both of them, from an outsider's perspective, seem to have a lot of character development.
Yeah. What do you think about Steven Universe from these two episodes?
It was good. I mean, with the amount of time on my hands, I prefer to watch shows that aren't as continuity heavy. Just because, that way I can watch an episode and then just move on to the next one. I mean, I love shows that are continuity driven. It's just at the current point in time, I don't have the time to invest in them. But No, I mean I dig it that some of the characters seem really compelling, and maybe someday I'll indulge into the show.
Okay. I mean, to be fair to or to be clear to everyone at home, just like I asked Monsters not to watch any of the other episodes around it. Like we could have filled him in. We could have given him, but I kind of wanted to just see like what how welcoming Steven Universe is to a newcomer. Not that you would ever like randomly watch the episode. I don't know. Some people
Right.
might randomly catch an episode on TV, and I do still have my hunch about the Steven Universe movie being the gateway drug. As it were. But I kind of wanted to see, and you followed it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like aside from stuff that was literally happening in like a specific arc that you would have had no way of knowing.
But yes, I do like Mr. Greg more. I just think that it was on a different level because the animation was so good, the songs were so good, and the conflict was so well incorporated into those songs. I felt for Greg, I felt for Pearl, and I also liked Keystone Motel. I just for some of it, like I mentioned, I wasn't too familiar with what was going on, and
I mean, I guess ultimately it is kind of like comparing the drama of like a steady relationship having like a minor spat versus someone who loved someone and suffered this great loss and then trying to reconcile with the person that she lost that person to. Like
right.
it's like the death of a loved one versus like you and your loved one arguing about is the toilet seat up or down.
Right.
Like
Yeah, there's just so much more stakes. I felt like.
yeah.
Because it wasn't like Ruby and Sapphire were in danger of dying or something.
Right.
And there is also that like kind of meta aspect of like, well, Sapphire says it's gonna be okay, so like and I mean it's not like anyone expects Garnet to not exist anymore. Like even when they kind of tried to pull that in a much grander way, we still didn't believe it. Like in the week leading up to Reunited, so there is kind of that like deflation of tension because you do know that ultimately things are going to be all right. But, whereas Mr. Greg could have reasonably ended with Pearl and Greg still not on good terms.
But yeah,
Like,
it
I don't-
ended awfully, especially
Yeah.
with how, given the show tends to escalate a lot at random times. That's definitely something that could have happened, like in an alternate timeline.
And it wasn't a part of an arc. I mean, unless you count the Greg getting rich two-parter. But like it wasn't like the middle act of an arc or like the end act of it. It was just its own thing that connects to other things going on in the show, but like could have ended and done anything it needed to in the show. So yeah, no, I love Mr. Greg. It is one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. I said as much when I reviewed it back when it came out. I still feel that way. I mean, maybe like Reunited might trump it at this point, but it is, I do think, one of the greatest just standalone 11 minutes on the show. And Keystone Motel is good. You actually also mentioned a good thing, Monsters. There is a little bit of wonky animation in Keystone because it is still early season 2. For the most part, it seemed like it was wonky for comedic effect, but there is some like really weird stuff going on with like Ruby's fingers that I don't know. It may be a little too far out there off model.
I think they were
but
still trying to find their style at that point.
But Mr. Greg had, I mean, I'm sure it had animation mistakes. I'm sure. But like, there is no wacky, like off-model craziness going on. And then also, we didn't really talk about it, but Mr. Greg does have jokes too. Like, I'd like to say, oh, well, Keystone Motel is the funnier episode, but like, Keystone Motel has really memorable lines. Mr. Greg has really memorable songs, which I think kind of beats that out. But like Mr. Greg is also funny. Leia and I were talking earlier about there's a scene where the servants are just like carrying Pearl and she bonks her nose on the roof. It goes by so fast. There's
Busboys
also
were hilarious.
Was
what? Yeah. There's also just like Greg singing about breaking a table. like also like Steven bribing the piano guy with just a wad of cash and the guy just like like I don't know, they managed to still make it a pretty funny episode amongst all the heartfelt emotion and character building.
Also the part when Pearl refuses to dance with Greg and then the bellhop goes, "Hey, you ruined the song."
I also like to sometimes when I'm listening to the Steven Universe soundtrack just end every song with Pearl's No. It's pretty. If you you could probably make a good YouTube video out of that, but just like every Steven Universe song, but it ends in now.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Try it at home, kids. Your parents will love it.
Actually, this is a good video. If you ended it after I'm forgetting the name of the song, the one between Rose and Greg. If you ended that one with no, that one would be even funnier.
What can I do for you? No.
Yeah.
After her and Pearl kiss. No.
Oh goodness.
Forgot to call out Pearl's hypocrisy with the fountain.
The fountains, yes, those wasteful fountains, because it's not like Pearl, has fountains in her room, or went to the Sea Spire, which she was like, "Oh, this is so beautiful," and it's just literally a giant fountain.
Calling out Pearl for being a hypocrite 101.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's Mr. Greg is fantastic, next level. Keystone Motel, honestly, I did gain like an appreciation for this episode I didn't have before, because it's been a while since I've seen it. So yeah, but all around pretty positive, I'd say. All right. We also have a viewer comment that I forgot about again, from our regular Christian Goken, who says, Mr. Greg and Keystone Motel are both great episodes, but Mr. Greg gets my vote. Might be my bias towards Greg-centric episodes, and how multiple future episodes deal with Ruby and Sapphire's relationship. But Mr. Greg is great since I love the songs in it, and I feel invested in Greg and his relationship between the other Crystal Gems, especially Pearl. Keystone Motel has the advantage of having two characters we hardly get to see resolve a conflict, while Mr. Greg has the advantage of pairing up Greg and Pearl. I'm not sure if the one is objectively superior, but they're both well-told stories.
Yeah, I
That's
agree
also
with that.
Yeah, that is also true that we don't like. We did at that point, and even still, we don't see Ruby and Sapphire that much. But we also, even still, don't. We probably had less episodes about Pearl and Greg interacting than we have of Ruby and Sapphire at this point.
Exactly.
All right, so for the trivia game this week, I was gonna make one, but I don't think that would be fair to Monsters because I couldn't. There's no reboot or original this time, and I couldn't think of any like yes or no quizzes that you could at least guess at. So, Monsters, if you'd like to pick like 5 or 6 questions or prompts from the Wikipedia page, and Leia and I will guess the episode name.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go first because I feel like Leia has an advantage because I haven't watched Steven Universe in ages, and
yeah. I'll
and my memory's bad.
Yeah, I'll have you go first. And how good are you guys with the seasons?
No, don't do that.
No
Cartoon
seasons?
Network breaks it up. Cartoon Network breaks it up in funky ways.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Season ends in weird ways. Sometimes they change it. It's weird.
I won't question you guys on that. All right. So, by the way, these are all the episode descriptions straight from Wikipedia. So the first one. The gems reach a space station that once belonged to Pink Diamond and sneak in to rescue Greg, but in order to do so, they must play the roles that they were made for so as to not arouse suspicion.
I'm going to say, I'll tell you the season anyway. That would be season 4, and that is Gem Heist.
And Leia?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, you're both correct.
Oh, that's good. I confuse episodes in that arc, like the names of them.
Yeah, no,
pretty
they
easily.
get confusing.
How many questions are we going to do, Monsters, by the way?
5. Okay, number 2. Steven and Greg take Lapis Lazuli on a boat ride to help her recover from her trauma. However, Jasper follows them and confronts Lapis, seeking to fuse into Malachite again, thank you.
Malachite. Malachite's basically you on the show, Monsters.
Yeah.
She's really tall and kind of green. Dealing with a lot of emotional issues.
I know what my new AVI is. No.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I mean, I know the episode.
Oh, I know it too. Was that all of it?
Yes.
It is. I'm just trying to think of the title.
Let's see.
All right.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Storm at Sea.
And Pie?
Wait, hang on. No, it's isn't it Alone at Sea?
Yeah,
That's
Alone
correct.
at Sea. Whoops. Yeah, Alone at Sea. Whoops.
Well, first of all, you answered out of turn, but also thank you because it helped me get the correct one.
I thought I was. Oh wait, are you answering first each time?
Yeah, because I have. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Oops.
So how am I
But you-
divvying up points on this one?
You got it. They got it wrong.
Okay, so that makes it 2 Pi, 1 Leia.
Right? Did I? I didn't mishear you, right? You said.
I think
Storm at
I
Sea.
said it. I said Alone at Sea first, but then I second guessed because I needed to repeat it.
Oh.
So wait,
Alright.
so you did say Alone at Sea first.
Yeah,
This is a tough situation.
it's okay.
You know how I'd call it, monsters.
I know how
We're-
you'd call it, but
we're
how will I
tough.
call it?
We're tough in recast trivia. We don't. There's no boths. There's no. No half points.
Oh, so
Except
it's
that time there was half
up
points.
in here.
Hey, listen, trivia is why people watch this show. They'll sit through 2 hours of stuff they don't care about to listen to the savage trivia.
Or skip it.
No, monsters, divvy out the points however you want. I honestly, you cut out the
Well-
first time you said it, Leia, so I couldn't.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Like I asked you to repeat it because I couldn't hear it properly, but because you did say it right, I will give both of you a point. So it's tied up 2-2.
I guess I can't complain because I would have gotten that wrong if you didn't say something. Anyway, 2-2, continue.
Okay, the next one. Peridot gets carried away with gem gossip and reveals something about Amethyst unintentionally offending her.
Oh God. Oh God, all the stupid Peridot arc. Well, they're not stupid episodes. They're great episodes, but the titles are something. Too far from season 2.
Okay, and Leia,
That's too far.
Yes.
you're both correct.
Yes. Woo.
All right, 3-3, 2 more.
That's too much, man.
In this non-canon crossover episode, no, I'm joking.
Okay, let's go be heroes. No, wait, no.
I mean, it was the Uncle Grandpa one.
It was
It
the
was
Uncle
the Uncle
Grandpa one.
Grandpa,
I
yeah.
was because it's not a Steven Universe episode.
Okay, here's the next one.
Mm-hmm.
While practicing how to fuse with the gems, Steven accidentally fuses with Connie, forming an unprecedented gem.
Alone Together, season 1.
Yep, Alone Together. That one's one of the best episodes.
I was just skimming over it and I see Steve Vonnie.
Yep, yep, that's the thing.
Awesome.
Stevani is a name that doesn't sound like it would work, but it works.
Oddly, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than going with like Stani. All right, 4-4.
Yep. Here's
I'm
the
proud of
last
myself,
one.
man.
You're proud?
I'm proud.
Better than I would do.
Well,
All right, here's the last one. When Garnet and Pearl return to the Great North to look for Jasper, Amethyst is put in charge of Steven and Connie. They continue their battle training together and try to have a fun day in Beach City, but are interrupted by the reappearance of Jasper.
you know what? I mean, I know the episode, but I think the title is I want to say the Great Hunt.
Okay. And Leia?
What was the description again?
When Garnet and Pearl return to the Great North to look for Jasper, Amethyst is put in charge of Steven and Connie. They continue their battle training together and try to have a fun day in Beach City, but are interrupted by the reappearance of Jasper.
I believe it's Crack the Whip.
Crud.
That is correct.
Hell yeah.
I'm sorry, Pieguy, but Leia takes it in the last question 5-4.
What was the name of the episode before that? Did I at least get that correct?
Gem Hunt.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I was I was
For a second,
close.
I thought it was the winter episode when I was like, huh. No, but
Yep.
no, that's the right one. Crack the Whip
That
was
was-
a hard title to remember, so.
Right.
I would have gotten Crack the Whip if I had been paying more attention. I heard it and I'm like, oh, this has got to be the one where they're up north because they try to have a good time until Jasper shows up. I mean, that's true of both episodes.
That's the one that I was getting confused with. That's why I asked for him to repeat it.
Monsters, you unintentionally picked like a really good question for that. Good for
Yeah,
you.
that was a good one. Yeah, Crack the Whip is a hard one to remember name wise.
You picked a lot of good ones because like oh god, I don't remember the last episode of the zoo arc, what that one was called. I would have gotten that confused. And then all those ones with Peridot, like the Peridot redemption arc, I don't remember the first I think maybe Back to the Barn might have been it, but yeah. All right. Well, I came close.
Yeah, real close.
One day I'll win.
One day.
Yeah, Monsters and I don't have the best track record with these.
What do you guys usually lose or?
Yours is usually pretty good. I mean, you don't always have the winning, but you know, yours is usually pretty good.
I don't play that often. I'm usually the game master, but
Right.
you won against Kuro that one time when we made it really hard for him.
Yeah, with that awful handicap, and he had to guess like 4 different aspects.
Yep. All right, well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Recast. Thank you very much, Lea, for being with us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, maybe you can be on when Steven Universe hiatus is over. We'll have you back.
If it is over.
So see you in 10 years, everyone.
Yep.
All right, PIEGUYRULZ out.
Catch you guys later.
I